welcome back to another episode of Creature Madness.
And I'm your host, Gus, from Askewed Reviews. Now, if you don't happen to know what Creature Madness is, let me tell you a little bit more about it. This was something that was created by my friend Matthew over at Horror Madness. He decided to create a group that was kind of like a movie club, where each time we end up watching the same creature feature film, and then everyone who's involved does their own review on that film. And speaking of everyone else involved in this club, aside from myself and Matthew, the other members are Karen, Jen, Ashley, Amariah, Bambi, and Ryan. And this time around, it was my turn to choose the movie that we all watched and reviewed. And I chose the 1994 film Mosquito, directed and co written by Gary Jones. So, this film was definitely one of those very campy animal attack creature feature films that came out during the 90s. And if you haven't heard of it before, it's definitely worth at least one watch. But if I haven't interested you so far, let me tell you more about the concept for the story. The film starts off with some object falling out of space and landing into a swamp. And this object having something inside of it that causes radioactivity makes it so that everything within this swamp becomes much bigger. But the movie at least seems to be focusing on one particular creature, mosquitoes. The film also seems to take place during mosquito season, so there are a bunch of them. And what ends up being the bigger issue is the swamp that this happens is very nearby a state park. So now hundreds of mosquitoes, about the size of a small child, are flying around, attacking everybody and draining them dry of their blood. Now, our cast of characters is a bit eclectic, as we happen to have a couple of park rangers, a few bank robbers, a meteorologist, and a boyfriend of one of those rangers. So, will this group not only be able to get along, but also manage to find a way out of this state park and hopefully to safety? So, this movie is definitely very silly and has some moments that absolutely do not make any sense, but at least in my own opinion, it is entertaining to watch. So, probably my favorite thing about this movie are the practical effects. They actually look really good. The mosquitoes look absolutely fantastic, and the way that people get drained sometimes looks really cool as well. So, at least for me on my scale, I'm going to give this film a 3 out of 5. Now, I own a copy of this movie, but if you'd like to check it out for yourselves, it is currently streaming for free on Shudder. Now, a quick spoiler warning to everyone. I'm about to do the section of Creature Madness where I actually go a bit more in depth about the creatures that appear in the film. So, there's not too terribly much that might get ruined for this film per se, but just in case you don't want to have anything revealed, feel free to go watch that film, then come back and watch this, or just stick around if you're a glutton for punishment and want to learn more. So, as I mentioned earlier, these mosquitoes are absolutely massive, and the way that that happened is due to radioactivity. Now, that came about because the thing that crash landed was actually an alien ship that fell into the swamp, and the aliens within it perished. And so the mosquitoes that were in the swamp drank their radioactive blood, and this caused them to have a very drastic change. Now, aside from their size, something else that makes these different from regular mosquitoes, and this is mentioned in the film, is that they don't run out of their thirst for blood. They'll just keep going and drinking more and more blood whenever they stumble upon a human that gets in their way. They can also fly very quickly, and their stingers appear to be very sharp and very strong as they can pierce through different types of metal. It appears that their biggest weaknesses are fire and chainsaws. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Creature Madness. Stupid mosquitoes. And if you'd like to see what everyone else did for their reviews on this film, just check out the hashtag for Creature Madness.